Hello listeners, welcome back to Luke's English Podcast. This episode, the title of this episode is something like Hot Idioms and Expressions, How to Talk About Heat Waves Like a Sweaty British Man. That's the title I've come up with at this moment. I don't know if that's the title I'm going to use when I actually publish this, but that's the kind of working title I'm going with at the moment. I'm not sure if it's wise to use that title for the episode because, you know, algorithmically, is that the best title? I don't know. It's easy to overthink these things, isn't it? As a content creator these days, the algorithm starts to mess with your head a little bit. You just think, oh, I need to use keywords in the title. It shouldn't be too long. Oh dear. But anyway, this is what I'm going with. Hot idioms and expressions. How to talk about heat waves like a brackets sweaty British man. Is that a very attractive title for you? You might have been sitting there thinking, I want to know how to talk about heat waves, and not just how to talk about heat waves. And you might be thinking, but Luke, what is a heat wave? I'll tell you that in a second. I want to know how to talk about hot weather, but specifically how a British man would talk about hot weather. I don't think you need to be a man to use the English I'm going to be teaching you. You get the idea. That's me, isn't it? That I'm a sweaty British man today. I am, very much so. A sweaty British man. So how to talk about hot weather, also vocab relating to the word hot, and also loads of idioms and expressions that include the word hot. You get the idea. That's the general idea. I've got some notes that I'm reading from, and I'll be reading from them as I record this. Okay, how does that sound? That sounds brilliant, Luke. Okay, great. I'm very happy that you're on board. So there is a heat wave over large parts of Europe at the moment, and it is extremely hot. A heat wave, this is just a period of unusually hot weather. We call it a heat wave. Heat wave. Not heat wave. There is a t in there, but generally that's not pronounced, so you end up with heat wave. That's not a glottal stop, that heat wave. So I'm not being a cockney there. That's just how most people would pronounce that word, heat wave. A heat wave, yes, over large parts of Europe at the moment, and it's extremely hot. It is absolutely boiling. I'm baking, Dave. I am absolutely sweltering, mate. That's the last time I'm going to say that in this episode. I understand that I probably say those things too much, and you might listen and think, oh, he's doing it again. He's saying that thing again. It's baking, Dave. Who is Dave? I'm absolutely sweltering, mate. If you don't understand why I keep saying that, go back and listen to an old episode about Paul Chowdhury, the comedian. Anyway, so the weather is so hot that it's making life really difficult. Tempers are high. That means if your temper is high, it means your temper is like your mood, especially an angry mood. So if tempers are high, it means people are irritable, people are getting angry. And I mean everyone, you know, just like you can see it, people in the street, cyclists. I was on a bus yesterday with my son, and the bus was going along the street, and a cyclist, I don't know who was at fault, I don't know who was wrong and who was right, but there was a cyclist coming down the street, and he ended up having to squeeze through a very narrow gap between the bus and, I don't know, another car on this side. It seemed to me the bus was just sort of doing its normal thing, and that this cyclist had decided to try to squeeze through this gap, and then when he was in the gap, he realised that it was incredibly dangerous to be in this gap, and he just really got angry, maybe understandable, and he slapped the side of the bus. He smacked the side of the bus. Didn't really have the effect he intended, because I think the driver didn't realise, but there was a man, a sort of fairly old man, standing there on the bus, and then suddenly the window just went smack right next to his head, and he kind of like got a really big shock. But this poor cyclist was absolutely furious. I mean, that's the sort of thing that does happen in cities anyway, but it seems to be amplified when the weather is like this and people are just like really, really annoyed. Especially people who have to do things, like if you've got to get to work and stuff. If you're lucky enough not to have to work and you've got free time, then you can afford to relax a bit more and go and spend time down near the river and even jump into the river. People have been jumping in and swimming in the river and stuff like that. No one seems to be doing, I get the impression not that much work is being done. My son's creche has been closed a couple of days this week. It's closed tomorrow, so suddenly it becomes difficult to get things done. It's been really difficult to work on podcast stuff. Tempers are high. Nobody has patience. It's hard to get anything done. It's really hot at night and it's hard to sleep. The kids are suffering. My son has got a heat rash on his chest, lots of little red spots on his chest, and it's bothering him. He keeps scratching it. So one of the reasons why I keep giving him little cool showers, which he actually likes, just to try and cool him down, cool his skin down, because his skin has reacted. And even at night he sort of doesn't sleep very well. He tosses and turns in the bed, our bed, because of course he just comes into our bed at midnight and then just kind of rolls around in the bed between us and scratches and complains and things like that, half asleep. Our daughter's okay, but we have to make sure, we have to really be on the ball to make sure that she's drinking enough and that she's avoiding the sun and stuff like that. A couple of her friends, she's 8 years old, a couple of her friends have been really badly affected by the heat. One of them was sick, another one sort of couldn't stand up. It's pretty bad. It affects everything. Just to let you know, what time is it and what is the temperature? So it's currently 11:45 in the morning as I'm recording this, 11:45 in the morning, and if I look at my weather app on my phone, it says that it's currently 35 degrees with a feels like temperature of 40 degrees. Relative humidity is relatively okay. It's 34%. Now, some of you listening to this will just be laughing into your drink of choice, your cold drink of choice at this point. You'll be laughing into your icy beverage, like 35 degrees with a feels like temperature of 40 degrees, 34% humidity. Don't make me laugh, Luke from Luke's English podcast. Sweaty British man. I'm sure that in other parts of the world it's much hotter than this, but you know, it may be normal, it maybe even be normal. I say normal, I don't know, but in some parts of the world it's been like that for many years, and you sort of like developed your civilization, your entire civilization has developed in that kind of environment, and I don't know, I don't know if this is correct, but perhaps you've developed solutions, partial solutions, like buildings might be better designed to deal with the heat, and just generally it's just part of normal life. I'm not saying that makes it any easier. I know that in some parts of the world it's just like unsustainably hot and is getting hotter, and it's awful. But you have my sympathy if it's worse for you out there. Then of course there are people in other parts of the world at this time where it's like unusually cold as well, because maybe in the southern hemisphere, if it's winter, you might be going through like the opposite of a heat wave, which is what we call a cold snap, I suppose. And maybe it's abnormally, unusually cold and you're suffering from that. But today in the morning, and it generally gets worse in the afternoon and in the evening, 35 degrees feels like 40 degrees. So as far as I'm concerned, it's 40 degrees. I've got other data for you. The dew point is 17 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that means. What is the dew point? Dew is normally droplets of water that appears on things. Normally you get dew in the morning. You know, when you come out of a house early in the morning and the grass is a bit wet, that's dew, D-E-W. So what is the dew point? I don't know. Is 17 degrees? I don't really understand that. Anyway, it's really hot. How hot will it get today? So that's the current temperature, but it's going to go up to about 41 degrees. Feels like 42 or 43. It's been like this for ages. It looks like it's going to dip. There'll be lots of thunderstorms, tons of rain and thunderstorms. And then the temperature is going to drop to something a bit more normal. But then I've heard it's going to go back up again. Maybe in another week or two, we will be back to this. Tonight, Tonight on Luke's English podcast. It did sound like that, didn't it? Tonight, the temperature. Let's have a look at in the middle of the night when we should be sleeping from 2 till 5. It's going to feel like 30 degrees. Again, not as bad as in some other places, but anyway, it's something like 17 degrees hotter than it normally is at this time of year in this part of the world. Paris is not very well prepared for this kind of heat. Yes, I live in Paris. Some people still don't realise. They think British man lives in Britain. I live in Paris. In the UK, in London, let's say, which is where I used to live, it's more or less the same, maybe a couple of degrees better. But Paris and London, both cities, are not very well prepared for this kind of heat. Air conditioning is not installed in most places. Rooms, apartments, and there isn't much history of air conditioning. There's history in this country. There's a lot of history, of course, just like there is everywhere. But the air conditioning doesn't really factor into it. If you take a French history course, Unit 2, Unit 1, the French Revolution, Unit 2, air conditioning. No, there is no air conditioning in the history of Paris. I mean, it's not an ordinary part of summer life, and it never has been. Previously, it's air conditioning has not been necessary, really, but more and more it's becoming unsustainable to live in this part of the world in the way that we did before without taking measures to deal with it. Nobody is really sure how to deal with it. By the way, I think Paris is the winner. No, isn't Paris the winner? I saw a social media post, so who knows if it's true. But it showed the temperatures in different cities in Europe, and Paris was the hottest. Yes! I don't know why I'm so happy about that. It's always good to be number one in some regard, isn't it? No, it's not. Not in this case. Of course, the elephant in the room, which means the thing that perhaps the big thing that perhaps we're not talking about, the elephant in the room is that this is a large-scale, long-term problem, isn't it, of course, with the climate in general. And we've all known about it for ages. We've all been aware of the predictions. We've all read the news reports. We're all aware of the pledges that were made by governments and businesses. And yet, here we are. Are we past the point of no return for the climate? What is the bigger picture? It's fairly frightening stuff. It's frightening, it's depressing, it's infuriating, it's deeply disturbing. And on top of all the other problems in the world, this one is maybe the biggest and could even be the driver of lots of other issues. Yes, okay, that's a bit disturbing and depressing. I have found in other places, going back to air conditioning again, I have found in other places where air conditioning has been normal for years, the aircon is pretty good. You know, like a lot of apartments, homes and stuff are normally quite well air conditioned, and it's just sort of built into the design of places. For example, in the US, aircon is everywhere and you take it for granted. It's the same in many parts of Tokyo, for example. But here it's only recently that people have realised they need it. You can get portable air conditioning units. You have to go down to your local sort of hardware shop, you know, the sort of place where they sell fridges and washing machines and things. And now air conditioning units are perhaps the hottest products that they're selling, but they're not the best ones. Also, air conditioning is part of the problem, isn't it? It's also bad for the environment, and it's a very local and short-term solution, which I think actually contributes to the main root cause of this kind of weather. And there's a wasp that nearly flew into my open window. Sorry for the interruption. So no wasp, you can't be on Luke's English podcast. Yes. If that happens, a wasp, a wasp, an insect that can sting you, or me in this particular case. Why would it do that? I'm going to just sting that guy. I don't know why would it do that. I'm too hot. Are wasps too hot? How are the wasps? No one ever talks about the wasps. Everyone's always talking about the bees. Bees this, bees that. Oh, the bees, the bees, the bees. No one's ever talking about wasps. The wasps are like, actually, that we're fine. Anyway, wasp, W-A-S-P. They look a bit like bees, but they're not bees, and they can sting you as many times as they want, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, I don't have an air conditioner in my room, for example, here in the pod room, because some of you might not realise, some of you, what are you complaining about, Luke? Don't you have air conditioning? No, I don't. Why don't you just get an air conditioner? First of all, it's very complicated and expensive to have one installed. I could get a portable one, but I haven't. They're all sold out in most shops, and if I was to buy one, I mean, they're very expensive, like good ones. If I was going to get one, I'd get one for the home, right? And I'm not made of money, I'm not made of money. I can't afford to just splash the cash like that. And the thing is, right, when these sorts of heat waves happen, normally they're short term and we just sort of cope with it until it's finished, right? So we just try to cope with these periods which aren't normal. And when they do happen, they're usually only about a week long. This particular heat wave has been going on for about 9 or 10 days, I think it is. And we keep thinking, oh, maybe it's going to stop. Is it going to stop? We check the weather. No, it's just going to keep on going. In fact, it's going to get worse. The heat is inescapable, more or less. I mean, there is a cafe near here which has air conditioning. I went there yesterday. That was not bad, but it's crowded. Everyone's going there. And then in the afternoon, it seems the air conditioning doesn't really seem to work, and it's still all hot and sweaty. I would say, I'm talking about this too much, but this is the whole topic of the episode, okay? So if you're like, stop talking about the hot weather. No, I won't. That's the whole subject of this podcast episode. And again, I know I'm complaining, and there are people who are far worse off than I am. I'm actually one of the lucky ones because I'm fairly healthy. I can afford stuff like fans, and I do have a fan running here. I don't know if you can actually hear that sound, that sort of whizzing, like kind of whirring sound in the background. Maybe a bit of background noise in this episode. I don't know. Is that affecting the recording? I do have a fan going, which is an absolute lifesaver. It ran out of battery about 30 minutes ago, and instantly, like my body temperature just went like, whoa, that is doing a really good job. So I've plugged this in over here. So hopefully that's going to keep going and it doesn't conk out at some point. I can afford stuff like fans and air conditioners, and I have options, So relatively speaking, it's not as bad for me as it is for so many other people. For example, I saw some guys in the street doing roadworks this morning. They were like adding tarmac to a section of road where there'd been some work, and they're kind of like just doing work on the road, and they were doing manual labour in protective clothing. They had gloves on. Did one of them have a helmet? Were they wearing helmets? They had protective trousers. God, it must have been awful. So I'm aware that things are relatively fine for me, but still, it is pretty awful. Where are you? Is it boiling too where you are? This heat wave covers a lot of Europe, and I have a lot of listeners here, so you may know exactly what I'm talking about. We have ways of dealing with it, of course. We've all got little ways of trying to limit the impacts of this terrible weather. For example, avoid the sun, obviously. But for example, if I'm walking down the street with my son, that's S-O-N, as you know, I don't have my own personal cosmic star that I can, although he is a cosmic star in his own way. What am I talking about? Yes, avoiding the sun. I mean the sun in the sky, S-U-N, of course. Avoiding that. So if we're walking down the street together, if I'm with my daughter or something, or my son, if I'm with my wife, I don't care. No, of course, with my wife as well. Although this week, she's been at work. I've been, whatever. If we're walking down the street trying to find the shade, walk in the shade, try not to walk in direct sunlight. For many of you, you're thinking, well, duh, obviously. But as an English man in the sunshine, it can be, the sun is very attractive normally, right? So typically for an English person, when the sun comes out in June, you want to be in the sun. You want to get that vitamin D. You want to expose yourself, obviously in a safe way, but you do want to go out and get some sun on your skin, because it just, for so many months of the year, we are starved of sunshine, wonderful, glorious sunshine. So we want to get out and take our t-shirt off in the park and lie down and do some sunbathing. Oh yeah, finally, soak it up. That's normally what we would do, but no, in these conditions you must avoid the sun. So finding the shade as you walk down the street, crossing the road to make sure you're walking in the shade. When you're standing at the bus stop, I have to turn my body to make sure my son is standing in my shadow. If there's no shade for us, if the bus stop is crowded, I've got to find ways to make sure the sun isn't on him. Taking cool showers when possible, cool and cold showers regularly throughout the day, before bed, even in the night. It's like you start to overheat, just get in the shower, or at least dip your feet, spray cold water on your feet. Use a fan, of course. Drink plenty of water. Cheers, he says, as he drinks water from his water bottle, which makes me sound like Darth Vader. How would Darth Vader react to hot weather? It must be difficult being Darth Vader in these conditions. Emperor Palpatine, I have a desperate request. Can I stop wearing this suit, please? It's just too hot. Lord Vader, your sad devotion to temperature... Oh, whatever. If Emperor Palpatine was any kind of decent Sith master, he'd let Vader go around without the suit. Can't they just hook up some sort of portable Bacta tank for him? I don't know. It must be a nightmare for Darth Vader in the... Poor Darth Vader. Poor Darth Vader. Why are we sympathetic to Vader? He's an horrible, murderous, evil tyrant. Doesn't exist. Oh yeah, that's right. Anyway, drink plenty of water. Use little spray bottles. Spraying watery mist on the skin. Right. Obviously, that's what sweat does. It cools you down by making you wet, but you can use this little spray bottle as well. When you sweat a lot, that's another reason why you've got to drink lots of water to replace the fluid that in your body that's being used for sweat and other things. Use little spray bottles. Use mini portable fans. The kids we bought these fans for the kids, and they hang them around their necks, and they blow a little stream of air up onto their faces. It's quite good. Light clothing. Don't do anything too strenuous. Just slow down and take it easy. Although saying that, doing something strenuous, I will be doing strenuous things. On Friday we're going to drive to the countryside, and I imagine that I will be a kind of liquid driver. That's weird. A weird thing to say. I'll be a liquid driver. I just mean I'm going to be drenched in sweat. I can tell from the beginning of that journey. The car has air conditioning, but I'll be drenched in sweat because I'm going to have to load the car, and that means going down to the basement to get the suitcase, taking that up the stairs. We don't have a lift in our apartment. Taking it up the stairs so my wife can pack it, and then going and getting the car seat for the child's seat, and then installing that in the car, grabbing this table that we're going to take, and then all these other bits and pieces, lots of going up and down stairs, carrying things. I'm going to be absolutely drenched, I think. We have to look after ourselves. I will look after myself. I'll take the right precautions. Don't do things too quickly. Just take things slowly. Take frozen bottles or ice packs to bed, but don't hold them too close. You know about this one? Take an empty bottle of water, like a 2-litre bottle of water, empty, fill it up with tap water, seal it, put it in the freezer. When it's frozen, it's a big block of ice basically inside the bottle. You wrap it in a towel, and maybe before you go to bed you put it on the bed, and it makes the bed, that little part of the bed, there's a little cool patch there that you can lie on for a while, and then you just kind of have it next to you. I think you shouldn't really hug it too tightly, because if you're really hot, if most of your body's really hot, but then there's one small local area that's freezing, I'm not sure that's very healthy, right? Because your body's like, whoa, this is not there's an imbalance here. But it's nice to have the icy cold bottle in the bed with you. You can kind of move it around and cool down different parts of the bed that you can then sleep on. You can kind of hold it with your hand, and that helps to cool you down. Just putting your hand on it can help to cool you down, helps to cool, I guess, the blood. I don't know. Now, you might have other tips. If you do have other tips for staying cool in very, very hot conditions, please do share them. I understand there are things like taking a sheet and making it wet and then squeezing the water out so it's damp, and then sleeping underneath that, or hanging it in front of a fan, or putting a ice cold bottle of water in front of a fan so it blows cold air in your direction. There's all these sorts of little tips. Sitting with your feet in a little bowl of cool water, that's quite good. Even stuff like at home, I have these sandals, indoor sandals, and I find if I walk around with the sandals on, that makes a big difference because the floor is warm. And if I walk around in bare feet, it seems my feet don't cool down. But if I have the sandals on, just that little bit of insulation between my foot and the floor helps me to cool down. Now, I know it's not the same for all of you out there. Many of you are in much colder places. Did I say that already? I think I have said that already. So we envy each other. If you are living in a situation that's too cold right now, we envy each other, don't we? And for example, I had an Argentinian listener who said they were in winter right now and complained it was too cold. And I said I would gladly give them 20 of my degrees. I wish I could. Anyway, despite these conditions, I need to do an episode this week for you. I have a couple of other episodes in the pipeline, but it's not the right time for them to be released. So I needed something for this week, and I just kept trying to work on an episode that I was planning to do. To be honest, I was planning to do Learn English with a Short Story, and it's not ready, so I can't do it. Today's the only day I can. The creche is closed tomorrow. It's all right. It sounds like I'm making excuses. I'm more just kind of giving you context, really, for this rambling episode. So I thought it would be a good opportunity then, in this episode, to teach you loads of English vocab related to things being hot, especially hot weather, the things people say during a heat wave like this, and then lots of idioms and expressions which include the word hot. And those are to describe not just hot things, but to describe all sorts of other things, other situations, but they include the word hot. And there are a lot more of those expressions than you might expect. Now, obviously, the word hot on its own seems to be a really easy word, right? We all know, everyone knows what the word hot means. It's one of the earliest words you learn in English. Don't touch that, it's hot. Or, ooh, it's very hot today. Hot and cold, right? So yes, the word is mostly used as an adjective, with a few different meanings or uses as well, not just to describe temperature. But importantly, there are also loads of idioms and compound nouns which include the adjective hot. These are all what I'm calling fixed multi-word expressions. I'll cover about 30 of them later in this episode. God, it's going to end up being long, I can tell. Here's a taste of some of those expressions. So we talk about things like hot property. He's hot property. To sell like hotcakes. A load of hot air. It's a sort of, I don't know, a critic of my podcast might say, I listened to Luke's English podcast and I didn't feel there was anything of substance to it. It just seemed like a load of hot air to me. And it was 3 hours long. Strike to strike while the iron is hot. Hot desking, and to hot wire a car. So I'll go into detail about those expressions and many more later in the episode. You're listening to Luke's English podcast, everyone. Hello. And there's a heat wave and I'm talking about things being hot. So hot, the word hot, the adjective, can mean a few different things. Obviously, it can mean high temperature. But also for food, obviously the temperature of the food, you put it in the microwave, so it's hot, right? Take it out of the fridge, it's cold, put it in the microwave to make it hot, to heat it up. Food, but also in terms of when food is spicy, right? Like Indian food is often hot. There's a lot of chili in there, so we say it's hot, a really hot curry. Hot can mean sexually attractive. Hot can mean causing strong feelings. Hot can mean making things difficult. And hot can also mean popular, fashionable, or successful. So let's look at those things right now in a bit more detail, shall we? And then after that, we'll look at things people say, typical things that especially British people say in English when the weather is really hot. But first, those basic definitions of the adjective hot. So first one is hot, meaning high temperature. This is the one that is obvious. The word is used to describe things that have a high temperature. For example, it's hot today, the radiator is hot, be careful, the tea is hot, my laptop is hot, I hope it doesn't overheat. We've also got the word heat as well. I'll talk about that in a minute. I could also say as well this. We've got hot and cold, right? Right, hot and cold. And what are the extremes? If something is extremely hot, we'd say it's what? It's absolutely, well, we've got a few. Sweltering, right? Baking, but boiling is normally the one for climate. So hot, absolutely boiling. We don't say it's very boiling because it's an extreme adjective. So with the extreme adjectives, we tend to use other adverbs. Absolutely, completely, absolutely boiling. So we'd say it's hot, it's very hot, it is extremely hot, or it is absolutely boiling, right? A little bit less hot, you'd say it's warm. It's warm. And that's normally good, right? Oh, it's nice and warm, isn't it? It's nice and warm in here. It's a bit hot, to be honest. Can you open the window? And you open the window. Just tons of boiling hot air comes in. Oh, God. But when it's winter, you put the heating on, right? You put the heater on, and then it's all nice and warm. But if it's too strong, it becomes hot. Right, the radiator, the heater. Warm, hot, boiling. If you go down from warm, you would probably have cool, a lovely cool breeze, right? Get a bowl of cool water and put your feet in it. Ah, that's nice. Not too cold, just right. It's cool. And then cold, of course, and very cold, extremely cold, and absolutely, what? Absolutely freezing. Yeah, okay. So anyway, back to adjective hot. It's hot today. That radiator is hot. Be careful, the tea is hot. You might want to just leave it for a minute. Stronger versions, it's very hot, it's boiling hot, it's red hot. For food and drinks, we don't say food is boiling hot, we say it's piping hot. There's a nice expression, piping hot. The food was served piping hot. Steaming hot as well. Steaming hot soup, piping hot pie. The soup was piping hot. The coffee was still steaming hot. Then hot meaning spicy, right? This is used to describe food that creates that burning sensation in your mouth. This is a spicy curry, isn't it? Oh, have you got some water? This curry is really hot. I can't eat very hot food. The sauce is too hot for me. The opposite of that is what? It's mild, so a hot curry or a mild curry. What about hot and spicy? Do they mean the same thing? Well, often they do mean the same thing. You can say this curry is hot, this curry is spicy, and those things can mean the same thing, right? You can say, oh, it's a bit spicy, or I don't like spicy food, I can't handle it. So those things can mean the same thing. But, however, spicy can simply mean that a lot of spices have been used and not necessarily that it's hot, right? For example, the dish is spicy but not very hot. The rice is flavoured with spices. And we're talking about spices like, I don't know, cumin and I know other spices. I know others. Turmeric, cumin and turmeric, for example, very commonly used spices, but they're not actually hot, right? Similarly, the word spiced often means that spices have been added without suggesting heat. So spiced tea, spiced wine, spiced biscuits. Cinnamon, cumin, turmeric, cardamom, nutmeg and cloves are all spices, but they're not hot. Okay, right, but a lot of the time hot and spicy could mean the same thing, but not always. But hot is always hot. Spicy could mean hot, or it just means that spices have been added. Right. Third meaning is hot, meaning sexually attractive. Right? A really hot guy, a really hot girl. He's really hot, she's really hot. This is used informally to describe someone who is physically attractive. She's really hot. He's a hot guy. Everyone thinks she's hot. Related words would be attractive, sexy, gorgeous, handsome, beautiful. In British English, we say fit as well. Right? He's really fit. He thinks you're fit. She thinks you're fit. He's really fit. What do you think? He's fit, isn't he? Look at her. She's really fit. She's really fit. He's well fit. This is one of the most common informal meanings of hot, by the way, meaning sexually attractive. Okay. Right. So then fourth is hot, meaning causing strong feelings. So here the word is used to describe things that generate strong emotions, opinions, arguments, excitement, or controversy. Controversy, controversy. In British English, we say them in either way. Controversy, controversy. I just naturally, for some reason, say controversy. Controversial things. For example, it's a hot topic. Like, I don't know what. Climate change is a hot topic. I mean, literally, AI. The AI bubble is a kind of a hot topic at the moment. The World Cup is a hot topic. A hot button issue, like an issue that lots of people disagree about. Here's my hot take. For example, I don't know, you've got a hot take about the World Cup. Here's my hot take about England in the World Cup. I think that, I don't know what, a hot take, as I'm going to explain later, is like an opinion. Maybe an opinion that you've kind of fairly quickly thought of, and that's maybe a bit unique. So it's like my own personal opinion on a subject. And if it's a hot take, it's like something that I've fairly recently thought of. We'll come back to that. Immigration is a hot political issue, for example. Typical feelings: anger, excitement, enthusiasm, disagreement, controversy. These are all sort of included in the sense of this word hot here, as it's used like this. The idea is that emotions are metaphorically heated. And then number 5 is hot, meaning making things difficult. This is used when there's pressure, trouble, danger, urgency. For example, she's in hot water. You know, the Prime Minister is in hot water over the situation with the thing. What? The film, The Thing, directed by John Carpenter, starring Kurt Russell. No! Imagine if there was a big controversy about an 80s horror film. No, the Prime Minister's in hot water this afternoon after allegations of corruption and connections to the Epstein files. You know, she's in the hot seat. Right, to be in the hot seat, that's where you in a situation where you have to answer questions. To be in the hot seat. I used to do an exercise in my English lessons called the hot seat. And you basically put a chair in the front of the class, and the students take it in turns to sit in the chair, the hot seat, and then all the other people in the class, can ask them questions, maybe even difficult questions, or just ask them questions, or test them on a bit of English that I've written on the board behind the person in the hot seat, and they can't see what it is. It could just be a phrasal verb or something, and I could just keep writing different bits of vocabulary that we've done in the class, and the people in the room have to ask the person questions to help them guess what the word is, something like that. So that's to be in the hot seat, where you're in the spotlight is on you, and you've got to answer difficult questions. Is my brain going to work properly throughout this episode? I hope so. So do you as well, I imagine. The police are in hot pursuit. That means chasing someone. I'll come back to that as well. The issue became too hot to handle, meaning it was too controversial, too problematic to deal with, too hot to handle. So this relates to ideas of pressure, risk, responsibility, stress, trouble. The metaphor is that heat makes life uncomfortable. I'm going to explain in a minute the difference between hot and heat. Could you explain it if you had to? If you were suddenly put into the hot seat, like you're in my English class, and one of the students, "Teacher, can you explain what is difference hot and heat?" And I'd say, "Okay, Pedro, you're going to answer this one. You're in the hot seat." And the whole class goes, "Really, Luke? Can't you just answer the question yourself? Why do you have to turn this into some sort of, student-led activity? Just tell us the answer, for goodness sake, Luke. It's too hot for these. Just tell me." Have you ever been in a situation like that with an English teacher where they've just come out of like English teaching training? They've just done their training course, and they've been told that you can't just answer a question as efficiently and quickly as possible, that you have to find a way of eliciting the answer from the student themselves. So one of the students says, "What is mean hot and heat? What is difference? I mean, what's the difference between hot and heat?" "Yeah, well, what do you think, Manuela? What do you think?" "Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you." To be fair, it's not a bad teaching technique, because a lot of the time, what the purpose of doing that is to encourage the student to be a bit more autonomous, right? And a lot of the time, students can work it out for themselves, and that's a very important skill, to be able to work out meanings of words and things. But in the moment, it can be quite irritating. I mean, when you have one of those teachers who won't just give you a straight answer, and they always have to find a way to get you to answer the question yourself, and you just don't know. So it's pretty stupid. The metaphor here is that heat makes life uncomfortable. And then hot meaning popular, fashionable, or successful. This is used for people, products, trends, ideas, and entertainment that are attracting a lot of attention. For example, Luke's English podcast is so hot right now, which is literally true. I mean, literally the temperature of what is the material substance of this podcast. Let's say it is the microphone, it is me, it is my body, the room, the air that surrounds me, it is the temperature of the camera, of the microphone. And if that's what the substance of Luke's English podcast is, then it is certainly literally true that LEP is so hot right now. But also, you might say, if Luke's English podcast was trending and everyone was talking about it and all the algorithms were pushing it, and all the short form content was all about it, which is absolutely not the case, and I clearly need to change my whole podcasting game. I've been doing this for years, and for many years it's always been a successful format that I just try to make the episodes good and then publish them and hope that the rest will take care of itself. But these days you've got to be so much more entrepreneurial about it. You've got to be making clips and shorts and bips and bops and bids and baps and ticks and tocks, and you've got to do all of that other stuff, haven't you? God. At this point, I know there's millions of you going, "I'll do it for you, Luke. I will do it for you. I specialise in making short form content. I'd be glad to do it." And I'll be inundated with requests from people who want to do it for me. Anyway, that's another question for another time. Luke's English podcast is just so hot right now. Everyone's talking about it. She's one of the hottest new writers in Britain. AI is the hottest thing in tech today. That neighbourhood is really hot at the moment, meaning that people want to go there. People want to purchase places there. It's the cool place to go. Hot property, the hot favourite. France are the hot favourite for the World Cup. Spain are the hot favourite for the World Cup. Is it France or Spain? I think it's still technically France. Sorry, Spanish listeners, but I mean, you've got just as much chance of winning it as them. England are the hot favourite. We weren't so bad in the opening game. Second game, we could not beat Ghana, and it was a reality check for England. A little tiny World Cup tangent. Everyone expected England, after we'd beaten Croatia, Croatia, a tough team, really tough, good team, sort of ranked 11th in the world, and certainly a really decent team, and England beat them 4-2 in the opening game, which was definitely a great result. But I think this feeling, this wave, passed through the entire country of England. In Scotland, they were like, "We don't care. We've got our team in the World Cup. We just don't. Please let Scotland at least score a goal." And the few, just England, shut up. Let Scotland shine. Anyway, we played Ghana in the second game, and everyone thought, "Oh, this will be easy." Yeah, but no, 0-0, no goal from England. It was frustrating, but fair play to Ghana. They basically decided, right, we're not going to play football. We're just going to do everything we can to make sure England don't score any goals in this game. No goals will be scored in this game was the approach that Ghana took with their manager. What's the name of their manager? He's a kind of a bit of a veteran football manager. And they parked the bus, as we say in footballing speak. To park the bus means where basically the whole team crowds the whole area around the penalty area. So many defenders, so many players crowding there that it's basically impossible to get the ball through. It made it really hard. I mean, to be fair, England, everyone talks about England as being a very talented team. They need to find creative, sparky ways to break through situations like that. Anyway, that's the end of that World Cup tangent. I'll be coming back to the World Cup. I'll do another bonus episode about the World Cup at some point. Oh dear, I'm going to have to take it slow, take it easy during this episode. It's going to be one of those. Is it hot where you are? It might be, in which case we'll just be hot together, okay, while we listen to this. Let me drink some more water. Very refreshing. Right, moving on. Hot property, a hot favourite, a hot spot. This is associated with things like popularity, success, demand, like people wanting something, fashion and excitement. The metaphor is that attention creates heat. So what about hot versus heat? Let's contrast the word hot with the word heat. Which is a noun or a verb? Right, so the word heat is a noun or a verb. The word hot is an adjective. Right, well, that's probably enough, even, just to tell you that. There you go. Teacher, what is difference? Hot and heat. Well, hot's an adjective, heat's a noun or a verb. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a lovely day. Bye. Anyway, heat, the noun. Heat is basically the noun form of the adjective hot. So it means the quality of being hot. Can you feel the heat of the sun? The sun is very hot. Feel the heat. You can feel the heat on your face. It's so strong today. The heat is unbearable, isn't it? We need more trees to protect us from the heat of the sun, to protect the earth from the heat of the sun. In the city, the stone in buildings and the ground absorbs the heat and keeps it, stores the heat, which makes it harder for the city to cool down at night. That's heat, the noun. Heat, meaning heat, the verb, is to make something hot. So, for example, heat the oven to 200 degrees. Heat up is the sort of phrasal verb equivalent. Heat the oven, heat up the oven. Okay. Normally we say heat the oven. I think we probably heat an oven, but you heat up something, meaning make it hot all the way through. There's a good question. Heat versus heat up. All right, anyway, the sun heats the earth. This small wood-burning stove is enough to heat this entire room. What's the difference between heat and heat up, though? You can heat up the room. The room is heating up. Heat and heat up. Well, certainly if you heat something, heat there is a transitive verb. I heat something, right? So I heat the oven, meaning I make the oven hot. Yeah, that's it. The radiator, that's a thing in the room which heats your room. You turn it on, the radiator heats the room. The radiator heats up. Okay, so to heat something is to make it hot. Okay, right. To heat up can mean to become hot. The room is heating up. The food is heating up in the oven. Right, but also Heat up is a transitive verb like heat. So we can say, I'm going to heat this food, I'm going to heat this food up. And up there just suggests sort of a sense of completeness, right? So you don't just heat part of the food, you don't just make it a little bit warm, but you make it all the food in the bowl hot all the way through. Anyway, to heat the food and to heat the food up, they're more or less the same thing. To heat the room, the radiator heats the room, the radiator heats the room up. Meaning it heats it to the temperature that you want, right? It heats it all the way. And also something heats up. So not I heat something up, but something just heats up. Like you turn on the radiator, touch it. Yeah, it's heating up. It's heating up. So we've also got hot up. Hot up and heat up. Things are hotting up in the World Cup. It's England versus France. Things are hotting up in the stadium. So heat up is a standard phrasal verb and probably more common. It's transitive. It can take an object. I'm heating up the food. The radiator is heating up the room. And it's intransitive. The room is heating up. The radiator is heating up, right? That's what I said before. It's also used for literal. It's used for literal objects, food, an engine in a car, the weather, or major trends in a more sort of metaphorical way. The political climate. Things are heating up for Keir Starmer. Well, actually, they're cooling down for Keir Starmer now because he resigned, didn't he? There's another story for another episode. And I know people are going, Rick Thompson report. What about a Rick Thompson report? A Rick Thompson report with my dad. He's technically retired now. Maybe I'll find a way to do an episode with him, but I can't promise anything. So transitive, I will heat up the soup, meaning I'm doing the action to something else. I'm making the soup hot. Intransitive, the economy is starting to heat up, meaning the thing itself is undergoing the change. Right, that should be clear. Now, hot up is a less standard construction. I mean, let's say it's less common because hot is an adjective, right? You can't normally hot something. Therefore, hot up is almost always intransitive. Things are hotting up. You can't say, I'm going to hot up my soup. No. So it's almost always intransitive. Things are hotting up. Something is hotting up. The World Cup is hotting up. Things are hotting up in the stadium. Right? So, for example, we won't say, I will hot up the soup. No. Right? I will heat up the soup. Hot up tends to be used for events, competitions, or atmosphere. It implies a sense of excitement or anticipation. This is much more common in British English. Things are hotting up in Luke's English podcast studio as he attempts to deal with the very hot weather. Yeah, okay. What do people say when it's really hot? Okay, at this point, I'm going to take a break because I need to look after myself. I'm actually going to go out and have a bite to eat because I'm hungry. Okay? You understand. As a fellow human, I think you understand, don't you? What? Hungry? What's he talking about? I don't expect my English teaching podcast guys to get hungry. Food? What? Okay, so I'm going to go and have a bite to eat and then I will come back. And I think when I come back, it will be hotter than it. Will the room have heated up? Will the room have heated up? I don't know. I'm going to keep the window open while I'm out. You don't need to know these details. You're like, okay, fine. You can stop talking now. It's all right, Luke. Okay, I'm going to pop out, have my lunch, take a little breather. I can't go and have a cold shower. If I do that, I won't be back here. I could go home, have a cold shower, cool down. But then by the time I come back, I'll be boiling hot again and I'll be pouring sweat. My t-shirt will be drenched. I think that might be the case when I get back anyway. You can see, if you're watching the video version, you can compare before and after. Am I hotter, more dishevelled, sweatier than I am now? Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? Things are heating up. In this episode of Luke's English podcast, as Luke is about to depart the pod room in order to consume what he calls food. When he comes back, will he be sweatier or less sweaty or as sweaty as he is now? Stay tuned to Luke's English podcast to find out. Right, let's go and do that. And then when I come back, I'll tell you what people say when it's really hot. So what are the typical things that people say? For example, when you go to work, you arrive at the office and it's boiling hot and you meet some of your colleagues. What are the standard things that people always say in that situation? Okay? Oh, that sounds exciting. Does it? It does, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It should. It is. Stay tuned to Luke's English podcast to find out more. Right, I'm going to click my fingers, and when I unclick them, we will have moved into the future and we can carry on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Yes. Hello again. So, what do you think? Am I sweatier than I was? Do I seem more uncomfortable than I was before? Audio listeners, obviously you can't see. But what do you think? Do I sound less comfortable than I did just a moment ago? Of course I don't. I sound exactly the same. Yes, I sound exactly the same. Yes, because I'm a professional podcaster. Pod pro. Luke is a pod pro. Hashtag Luke is a pod. What? Pod. Yeah, I'm a professional. Yeah. Right. Scorchio. It is. Yeah, of course it's bloody boiling. Scorching hot out there. The sun beating down as the sun beats down on the Paris streets. Here is a English podcaster trying to get some food. As if David Attenborough made a documentary about me. And it's here on this burning hot Paris boulevard that we see a very interesting creature. It's a podcaster, and he's trying to find something to eat. The burning hot temperatures are unusual for this time of year, and this English podcaster has not evolved to cope with these conditions. Climate change is making life difficult for all species, but especially those who've travelled from the north to complete their mating cycle. And having done so, this particular podcaster seems to be a little lost. And then there's a sequence with like funny music of me trying to find a place to get some food and sort of avoiding the sun and being unwilling to cross the street because there's a queue outside the food place and it's in the sunshine. Luke has spotted his prey in the form of a Mexican burrito place. All that lies between him and his lunch is a busy road and temperatures soaring into the mid-40s. The sunshine here can be hazardous. You know, all that sort of thing. It'd be great, wouldn't it? A David Attenborough documentary about me living my life, or you living your life. That would be fun. Yes, of course it's really, really, really hot. Temperature check, 38 degrees. With a feels like temperature of 41. To be honest, it felt like more like 42 to me. 41, I'd say it definitely feels like 42. The dew point, the all-important dew point that we don't understand, is 15 degrees. So what, right? Relative humidity, 26%. It's better than it was. Pressure, just general pressure. Pressure from parents, pressure from bills that I have to pay, pressure from Her Majesty's government to make sure I'm filling in my tax return. Pressure. Having a wife and family. Pressure is at 1014.8 HPA, which seems high to me. I've got no idea. The wind is a steady 15 kilometres an hour, which is actually a little bit better than it was before. We want the air to move around. Gusts up to 33 kilometers an hour. Gusts of wind. A gust of wind is when the wind suddenly goes and it's like a sudden moment of faster wind. That wind is good because that means that hopefully we'll get a bit of airflow through the apartment, but we won't because it's an easterly wind. The wind is coming from the east. That means it's an easterly wind, I believe. And our apartment does not. There are no windows that face the east. It's all facing the other way. And so the air's just going to go, no, see ya. We're just going to keep going. And, you know, like, could you come through the apartment? The air's like, nope, see ya. We're just going to keep going west. Thanks very much. And then we'd say, oh, come on. And the wind's going to go. To be honest, there's no point in us going through there because we're too hot anyway. It's just hot air. It's just more hot air. There's just hot air everywhere. Right then. So let's carry on, shall we? So we're going to move on to the section which is called What Do People Say When It's Really Hot? Brackets when there's a heat wave. So when it gets really hot, people tend to repeat the same comments over and over again. Here are some of the most common things people say during a heat wave, especially in British English. So I need to kind of like pick up the pace and sort of speed up a bit because I've got a fair amount to get through here. But that's fine, isn't it? Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying this? Are you? I hope so. Yes, you are. If you're enjoying this, leave a comment in the comment section. Let everyone else know that you're enjoying this, and let me know too. Tell us what you're enjoying, specifically which thing it is that you're enjoying. I'm really enjoying the fact that you are taking perhaps 2 hours or more to talk about one specific subject, and only that, Luke. Or I'm really enjoying the fact that your t-shirt is clearly uncomfortable. Whatever it is, let us know in the comment section. So complaining about the heat. So you've just arrived at the office. You're working in some generic office. You're working at Wernham Hogg in Swindon, right? Just a paper merch. It's just some generic office in England. And there's a heat wave and you turn up. And here are some of the things you might hear as people talk. It's absolutely boiling. Yes. It's roasting. It's baking. It's sweltering, right? It's scorching. Ooh, it's absolutely boiling, isn't it? Oh, yeah, it's roasting outside, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's sweltering. See, when you have a conversation like that, when you make a comment about a thing, and like one person makes a comment about a thing and the other person agrees, that other person can't use the same word again. You can't say, it's absolutely boiling, isn't it? Yeah, it's absolutely boiling. No, but I mean, it's really hot. Yeah, it's really hot. You can't do that. For some reason, that's just wrong. It's absolutely boiling, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Absolutely boiling. No, but I mean, it's just roasting. Yeah, it's just roasting. Like, what is wrong with you? What are you taking the piss? No, I'm just agreeing with. It's just that you're repeating everything I say. Yeah, I'm just trying to agree with you. No, you can't do that. You have to say the same thing, but in another way, with another word. Like, God, it's absolutely boiling, isn't it? Yeah, it's roasting. Yeah. Yeah, God, it's sweltering. Yeah, it is absolutely baking out there. It's scorching. It's It's too much, though, isn't it? It's unbearable. It is absolutely unbearable. Yeah, it's too much. It's unbearably hot. I'm melting. Look, I'm just absolutely melting. I can't cope with this heat. I just can't deal with it. No, neither can I. I can't. Oh, closing the laptop. I just can't. It's too hot to do anything. Oh God, I just got to collapse. I just can't. Come on, Sandra. Come on. Do you want a glass of water? Look. How about this? How about I pour it over your head? How about that? You don't want me to? I'm going to do it anyway. Look, there you go. There you go. Ice. How about some ice? I'll just shove some ice into your mouth. There you go. Look, you'll be all right. Sandra's like, don't do that. Don't do that. You shouldn't do that. I can't cope with this heat. It's just too hot, isn't it? It's too hot to do anything. Oh, I tell you what. I wish I was. What I'm going to do when I get home, I'm just going to get a deck chair in the garden and there's a shady spot near the tree. I'm just going to sit with a deck chair and maybe have a lovely gin and tonic. That would be good, wouldn't it? Because you just can't do anything in it. You can't do anything on a day like this, can you? What about you, Dave? And Dave's like, oh, it's boiling, mate. Yeah, it's roasting. It's too much, isn't it? It's just too hot. And that's what Sandra was just saying. I tell you what, you could fry an egg on the pavement, couldn't you? You could fry an egg on the pavement. Not that you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to. No, but you could. You could fry an egg on the pavement, couldn't you? It's that hot. Like, scorchio, right? It's. I've never known it this hot. It didn't used to be like this, did it? No, it didn't, Sandra. No, it never used to be like this. I remember when blah, 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 blah. I remember, like, this winter, I didn't even have to wear a coat. Well, you do live in Australia, don't you? So, I've never known it this hot. Talking about sleeping. I tell you what, I couldn't sleep a wink last night. It was like sleeping in an oven. How do you know what it's like sleeping in an oven? Well, I don't know what it's like, but I can imagine that it's just like this, but really hot and very small. Having to imagine sleeping in an oven, that would be very uncomfortable. You have to squeeze in, first of all, to a space that's clearly far too small for your entire body to fit into. And then, you know, there's nothing soft. It's just all metal grill. I was tossing and turning all night. I was tossing and turning. That just refers to when you're in bed and you can't sleep and you're just moving around. You can't find a comfortable position and you keep turning over and moving, changing your position, and you never find a comfortable spot. That's tossing and turning. I was tossing and turning all night. I kept waking up because it was so hot. I had to go and have a shower. The bedroom was like a sauna. Right, a sauna. That's obviously those places, like a very hot room. They're Nordic, aren't they? The Scandies. Did the Scandinavians invent saunas? Sauna, we call it a sauna in British English. Sauna. Sauna. The bedroom was like a sauna last night, like a room that's made really, really hot and everyone sits there naked. It's so awkward. And there's like a kind of thing with really hot rocks and you pour water on it to make the air really humid. Relative humidity 99.9%. You basically swim out to the door. I can't breathe. That's the sauna. I had the fan on all night. Now, have I got any listeners to this podcast who believe that if you sleep with a fan on you at night that you will die? Do you believe that? I did a podcast about it once, or at least I talked about it on the podcast once. And so I'm talking to the South Korean listeners here because I remember when I worked in London, I used to have a lot of South Korean listeners in my lessons. And this came up a few different times. And I often would ask my South Korean students about this. It's like, there's a thing in South Korea, right, where people say that if you fall asleep with a fan on you at night, that you could die. And there's all these different sort of theories as to why that happens. Like it makes your body cold and then you freeze to death, or it causes vital organ failure because the body's too cold, or it dehydrates you too quickly, or maybe even mad things like actually what the fan does, if you sleep in a certain spot, it causes an air vortex which actually sucks the oxygen away from you, and you kind of suffocate to death. I don't know. I don't mean to say that all Korean people believe this, but just every time I heard this idea, it was always coming from a Korean person. May have been like the odd Japanese or Chinese person saying the same thing, perhaps, but it's certainly a thing I've heard. I don't mean to poke fun at you specifically, because everyone around the world, we've all got our kind of funny beliefs and things, and maybe there's something to it. Maybe there is some substance to it, because you might say, well, I know a guy who he died in his sleep. It was really hot and he died in the bed. It's tragic, but he had a fan. They came in the morning and there was a fan on him. Well, yeah, he might have died from something else. He might have died from I don't know, did he drink a lot? I don't know. But I had the fan on all night. I ended up sleeping with the windows wide open, which I would say is a normal thing. I ended up sleeping with the windows wide open. What about being uncomfortable? Because that's one of the main things, isn't it? It's just so uncomfortable. I tell you what, I'm sweating buckets. I'm sweating buckets. Sweating, perspiring, Sweating is the general word. Perspiring or perspiration is the more formal word. You know, when, like, is it water? It's mostly water, but, you know, water, let's call it sweat. Let's put salty water with whatever that comes out of the pores of your skin when you're hot, and it drips down your face and you have to wipe it away, and your armpits and your back and everything gets all wet and sticky. You can sweat a lot, and you sweat buckets, right? So that means a lot of sweat. I'm drenched, absolutely drenched. D-R-E-N-C-H-E-D. By the way, if you hear me using any words during this episode and you think, please spell that as well. Just spell all the time. Spell everything. Spell all the words, Luke, but please make your episodes 20 minutes long. Well, okay. That's not really possible, is it? But if you want to know the spelling of some words, check out the episode PDF. It's free. It's freely available. You'll find a link in the description, and just flick through, have a look. You know, take the time to go through the PDF and hunt down some of those words. Listen to me now. Listen to me now, and then later have a look at the PDF and have a read through it. That's a good basic way of learning English with this. That just reading through the PDF afterwards will be a good way of sort of like fortifying your learning of English through this podcast. There are many other ways you can do it, but that's a simple thing that's going to make quite a big difference. Reading through the PDF that I've prepared afterwards and noticing, that's what it was, drenched, D-R, because does that sound like D-R-E? Drenched? Doesn't really, because you're expecting drenched. I'm drenched. No, I'm drenched. My wife's just texted me, oh my God, I'm travelling to somewhere. Exhausting. Yep, I know how you feel. I hope she's all right. Unfortunately, she's got to travel to another part of town, which involves quite a long walk down a boulevard, of course, to get somewhere. It's a mission. It's like, you know, Luke's mating partner. Back to the David Attenborough documentary. In another part of town, Luke's mating partner, Luke's life partner, has to make the arduous journey to another office. I'm drenched. I feel so sticky. Sticky is the word to describe how your skin feels, because there's sort of partially dry sweat on your skin. What a lovely subject. I will be having a shower later, don't you worry about that. I feel so sticky. My clothes are sticking to me. I'm covered in sweat. I need a cold shower. I can't cool down. Even the shade doesn't help. The shade refers to any area where the sun is not directly hitting the floor, right, or hitting the ground. The shade, whereas a shadow is normally we use the word shadow to describe a specific outline, right? The shadow of a tree, for me, means the shape, the specific tree-shaped area which is put on the ground by the sun. But the shade of a tree just means a general area where you can sit and avoid the sun. So when we're talking about general spaces where you can go, where you're not in direct sunlight, that is in the shade. Okay, that's the shade and in the shade. Whereas a shadow would be more of a specific shape. I saw a shadow of a person. I saw a shadow move past the window. Okay, those are sort of specific objects, or at least the sort of darkness caused by the object blocking the light. You understand? That's a shadow. A shadow, like, you know, you can make shadow puppets with your hands. The light shines and you put your hand in front of the light, and on the wall you can make shadow puppets. What a fun thing to do. Right, but anyway, in the shade, that's where you need to go when it's such a hot day. Don't be in direct sunlight. Are you mad? There's no escape from it. There's just no escape from it, is there? Another person might say that. Specifically British things. British people are famous for complaining about the weather. So you will often hear us say things like, well, we wanted some sunshine, didn't we? But not this much. Or it's too hot for the UK. It's just too hot for the UK, isn't it? Our houses aren't built for this. And, you know what? To be honest, I'd rather have the rain back. I'd rather have the rain back, to be honest. Sounds silly, doesn't it? It sounds silly, I know. But even rain is better than this. Oh, I'd love a bit of rain right now. I tell you what, if it rained right now, I'd just go out. I'd go out and just get covered in rain. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? You know, they do that in Africa, you know. They do that in Africa, you know. I tell you what, give me autumn any day. Give me autumn any day. Summer used to be my favourite season. Not anymore. I prefer winter, to be honest. I tell you what, I don't know how people live in Spain. I just don't know how they do it. Well, at least it's a dry heat, isn't it? As long as it's a dry heat. That's usually said by someone trying to stay positive. But people will always make that observation. Well, you know, when it's really hot, but at least it's a dry heat, and that's not so bad, is it? What I can't stand is humidity. When it's humid, oh God, no, it's so close and so sticky. Ugh, I can't stand it. It's so muggy. Muggy. It's so muggy. Describes like really humid, uncomfortable weather. And then another person might say, well, you won't hear me complaining. No, you won't hear Simon complain. You like this? You like the hot weather, don't you, Simon? Oh, I bloody love it. I tell you what, perfect for me, this. And then at work, right, at work. Well, you know, no one's doing any work today. I wouldn't worry. No one's doing anything today. You know what? I think my brain stopped working, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. I can't think straight. I think my brain stopped working. My brain has stopped working. I think my brain's stopped working. I just can't concentrate. I can't. Should we cancel the meeting? I think we should. I think everyone would appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I just can't concentrate today. The office feels like a greenhouse. A greenhouse is a house that's made of glass, or a little building that's made of glass, and it's used to grow things. Greenhouses are like really common things that you find in England, where if you want to, let's say, grow tomatoes or grow other plants that require sunshine but also a fairly constant temperature, where they won't be affected by nighttime frost, that's where the temperature can drop below zero and it kind of kills all the veg in your garden or whatever. You have a greenhouse. It's like a tiny little house made of glass. And inside a greenhouse, normally it's quite warm, isn't it? That's the greenhouse effect. It lets the light in, lets the heat in, but the heat then is trapped inside and doesn't come out. So the office, it feels like a greenhouse in here. Close all the curtains. Why are the blinds up? Put the blinds down, for goodness sake. Oh, has anyone turned the air conditioning on? The what? Why don't we just turn the air conditioning on? There is no air conditioning. You know, that could be, I don't know, someone from America. Like, guys, what's the matter with you guys? Just turn on the aircon. There is no aircon, Steve. What air conditioning? You mean this? You mean this? This small fan? That's the air conditioning, Steve. That's it. And then someone else might say, I'm just counting down until home time. I'm just counting down, counting the hours until home time, to be honest. Home time, meaning the time when we can go home. No. I'm just counting down until home time. Can't wait to get home, to be honest. Why? Do you have air conditioning there? No, I just don't want to die in the office. And if you're looking for relief, from the discomfort, what would you say? We say things like, oh, I need an ice cream. Oh, I'd love an ice cream. Oh, I fancy an ice cream. That would be nice. Oh, I need a cold drink. Let's find somewhere with air conditioning, shall we? Where is there air conditioning? Well, Pret. There's air conditioning in Pret. All right, let's go down to Pret. Meanwhile, in Pret, everyone is there. Fancy a cold drink? Tell you what, I'm staying indoors today. I'm not going outside. Tell you what. That's what English people will often say. Tell you what. Just before they then make their comment. I tell you what, I'm not going outside today. I tell you what, it's like a greenhouse out there. It's like a greenhouse in here as well. I tell you what, I'm not moving unless I absolutely have to. This is it. I'm just going to stay in this exact position in front of this fan. I'm not moving unless I absolutely have to. How do you define absolutely have to, Mark? well, 3 possibilities. Toilet breaks, the area manager, and tea. Tea. Yeah. Still drinking my tea. I've heard that hot drinks actually can be good in hot weather. Have you heard that? Sounds like insanity, doesn't it? A hot cup of tea. You're drinking tea. Like, my wife will be like that. I say, well, I'm going to have a cup of tea. And she's like, you're going to drink a cup of tea? You can drink a cup of tea now. But with a slightly French accent. Bah, you can't drink a cup of tea. No, she doesn't sound like that. Anyway, I'll be like, yeah, I will, because when things are difficult, when you're in a difficult situation, a cup of tea is the solution. Even when that situation is the fact that it's 41 feels like 42 degrees. A nice hot, piping hot cup of English breakfast with milk. I've heard actually it is a good idea because obviously it's a hot drink, but your stomach, it likes having... I don't think it's always a good idea. I've said this on the podcast before. I don't think it's always a good idea to put cold fluid into you. Obviously it seems like a good idea because it feels nice in your mouth. It cools down your mouth a little bit as you're drinking it. But your body has to work to balance the temperature. And inside your body it's warm. You need hydration. You need H2O, right? You need one oxygen molecule with at least two hydrogen molecules attached to it. Not just one molecule, you need loads of them in the form of a cup of water, preferably partially solid, in a sort of flow state between liquid and solid. What I mean by that is glass of water with some ice cubes in it. You need that. You need water, but you don't necessarily need cold. Your stomach doesn't really need cold water, does it? I think it would prefer warm water, because in the stomach they're going, God, it's bloody hard work today, isn't it? Jesus Christ, keep going, keep digesting stuff. Go on, we need more water, come on, bring it down. And then you cover them in, well, maybe they'd like it if you cover them in freezing water, but maybe the stomach's like, oh, it's bloody cold, we've got to warm this up now. We've got to heat this water up now. As if we didn't have enough work to do, just trying to do our normal digestion duties on a day like this. So a cup of tea can be quite good. It makes you sweat as well, and as we know, sweat helps to cool you down. It's the body's natural... that whole thing of spraying a thing into your face, it's like the body says, when you get spray water in your face, the body's like saying, guys, you don't need to do it. I've got this. Have you not heard of sweat? But us humans, we're like, no, I don't want sweat. I want this water from this little bottle, which I bought, and it was made out of plastic. Why not? Well, I want to have a little thing that goes psh, psh, psh in my face, even if it does mean ruining the environment a little bit more unnecessarily, because the body already has got that covered. The body's like, I'll do the cooling down the skin with liquid thing. You just put H2O in my body. I'll deal with it. You just relax and let me do all of that cooling down stuff. But the human's like, no, I want this. Psst, psst, psst. Anyway, talking about the future. I'm just staying in front of the fan and I'm not moving ever, said Mark. And he was found a week later. Just his corpse, his body was found frozen in that position like that. Talking about the future. Oh, yeah, it's hot, isn't it? But you know what? It's supposed to get even hotter tomorrow. Oh no, and really? It's supposed to get even hotter tomorrow. When's this heat wave going to end? Well, yeah, they're saying it's going to break on Friday. They're saying it's going to break, meaning the heat wave is going to end. Oh, I just can't wait for a thunderstorm. Feels like there's going to be a thunderstorm. You know what I mean? Feels like there's going to be a thunderstorm. I can't wait for a thunderstorm. That's a very welcome thing, isn't it? That's when the heat wave builds and builds and builds, and then when it turns, there's normally a fantastic electrical storm, and the weather does some really crazy things, like it starts to chuck it down, like it pours torrential rain, and that rain eventually turns into hail. And the next thing you know, there's little bits of ice hammering down on the roof of your car or something. Just ice everywhere. And you kind of say to the sky, like, just make up your mind. What are you trying to do? It's too extreme. Either you're trying to boil us, and now you're trying to freeze us with ice. It's just like, what is going on? This is, and then a scientist comes in and says, well, this is one of the effects of climate change. It's not just global warming, but we're talking about more and more extreme weather as the fluctuations get more and more extreme. Normally, weather events take place within a fairly narrow range, right, where the top temperature might be here, the bottom temperature might be here, wind speeds and likelihood of storms and average amounts of rainfall might all exist within a fairly narrow band. But then we will see more and more that the parameters of this band gets wider and wider, and the extremes get more and more extreme, if that is possible. Can things become more and more themselves? Is that possible? Like, this tea is just becoming more and more tea all the time. How do you do that to your tea? How do you make it become more tea than it was before? I don't know. I just fill it up from the teapot. So yeah, fluctuations are going to get more and more, higher and lower temperatures, and more extreme weather events. We desperately need some rain, someone might say. Classic British heatwave small talk. Here's a very realistic conversation between two British people. Morning. Right? Morning. How are you doing? Well, hot. Yeah, a bit warm, isn't it? Bit warm. It's absolutely roasting. Didn't sleep a wink last night. No, neither did I. The bedroom was like a sauna. It's supposed to hit 38 degrees later. Great. So that's obviously sarcasm. Oh, great. Normally when something really bad has happened or is going to happen. Oh, great. The bedroom is like a sauna. Didn't sleep a wink. I was tossing and turning all night. Yeah, it's supposed to hit 38 degrees later with a feels like temperature of 42, whatever that means. Great. Honestly, our houses just aren't built for this, are they? Fancy a cold drink? Now you're talking. That means that's a good idea. Now you've said something. I like the sound of what you've just said. Meaning, and that's a good suggestion. That's what it means. Now you're talking. It's like, anyway, fancy a pint? Ah, now you're talking. Or, let's go for a pizza. Now you're talking. So those are the sorts of things you will hear in Britain whenever temperatures climb above about 12 degrees centigrade, probably. Right, let's move away from complaining about boiling hot weather and look at some idioms and expressions. Let's move on to idioms and expressions with the word hot. This is what was advertised in the title of the episode, possibly, depending on how I titled the episode. And I could understand potentially if someone decided to listen to this and think, right, I will learn. Today I'm going to learn idioms and expressions with the word hot. I will listen to this podcast. It says that's what's in the title. That's what I will get immediately from the very moment I press play. This is what I will get. Right, play. Here we go. 90 minutes later. Right, let me teach you some idioms and expressions. Meanwhile, this particular listener has become a skeleton with headphones on, or has left some sort of brief and irritated and fairly rude comment on YouTube before clicking onto, I don't know, what would it be? A video of a bear trying to break into someone's house, you know. Just the usual. It's just a normal day on YouTube, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on to idioms and expressions with the word hot. There are a lot of hot idioms and expressions. As you will see, these are yes, I'm going to say that thing. Oh, I think my brain stopped working. It's just too hot. These are about. Shall I start this again? Idioms and expressions. Let's move on now to idioms and expressions with the word hot. Da-da-da-da-da. Hot. There are a lot. As you will see, these are all about... Why is that so hard to say? Okay. As Luke's brain melts... As Luke's brain melts onto the table, seagulls emerge. Feeding on the molten brains, the seagulls derive many rich nutrients and minerals from the brain matter, which they then vomit into the mouths of their young offspring, and the life cycle continues. Idioms and expressions. Let's move on to idioms and expressions with the word hot. There are a lot. As you will see, these are about all sorts of other things, not just hot weather. I've narrowed down this list to about 30 items to save time. Ha, 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 save time, right. So there are more expressions than this. I mean, there are more expressions with the word hot than this, which you might know. So if you know others, feel free to put them in the comments. Because there might be one person who says, what about this idiom? You didn't mention this one. If you know that any others, put them in the comments section. Categorizing these expressions can help you understand and remember them. Most of these expressions can be categorized like this, where hot means some different things. So hot can mean popular, it can mean controversial, I think we mentioned this before, right? Popular, controversial, angry, immediate or urgent. It can mean pressure, and it can also mean pursuit. That means chasing, someone chasing someone, or action, right? Like in a Hollywood movie. So in terms of popular, we say hot property, he is hot property, it's hot property, they are the hot favourite, a hot spot. I'll go into these in a bit more detail in a moment. Controversial, a hot topic, a hot take, it's too hot to handle. Hot can mean angry, he's getting hot under the collar, he's got a hot temper, he's a bit of a hothead. Immediate or urgent, this is hot off the press, you've got to strike while the iron is hot. Get it while it's hot. Get them while they're hot. Hot can mean pressure. He's in the hot seat. He's in hot water now. Hot can mean pursuit or action. Hot on the trail of something. I'm here on the streets of Paris, and I'm hot on the trail of one of the rarest creatures that you can find in this environment. That's right, it's Luke from Luke's English podcast, and I've just spotted him. There he is, melting into the street. Oh no, we're too late. What a weird situation that is. Hot on the trail. In hot pursuit. Nina. There he goes. He's just there. With the police in hot pursuit. Although that sounded like the police first and then the other person afterwards. Never mind if my stupid improvisations don't make complete sense. You forgive me, don't you, because of the conditions that I'm operating in here. And to be hot on someone's heels. So, maybe this is a bit ambitious or over-ambitious, but what I'd like to do now is do a vocabulary ramble. I'm just going to ramble about whatever comes into my head, but I have to use each expression one after the other. Let's see if this makes sense. Your job is to follow my train of thought and to spot expressions with the word hot. Can you identify the whole phrase each time? Not just the word, but all the parts. I'm going to give myself the first and last lines of my story here, and I'll just improvise all the stuff in the middle. I've just realised, listeners, I'm developing a little itchy cough. You know what, listeners? I'm going to just stop here for a second, because I get carried away when I'm doing episodes of the podcast. I get into the pod zone. It's a kind of flow state where I'm really involved in what I'm doing and enjoying it a lot. And as a result, I kind of lose track of time, or time seems to slow down or speed up or something like that. And what can happen is that I can end up, as you well know, talking for quite a long time. And it is actually quite exhausting. Sometimes, after a long rambling episode, or at least just some long podcast recording, I do find myself very tired afterwards. I've had a great time, but it does take some energy to do this. And I've just had a thought. I've thought, I need to be clever, I need to be wise, I need to be cautious. And so idioms and expressions with hot, there's quite a lot there. What I was planning to do is do like improvise a story now involving all the expressions and just improvise it on the spot. It would be good, it would be funny. And then I'd kind of quickly go through the idioms and clarify them and explain them. I think that would be great. But I think I've got to look after myself a bit. I can feel I've got a slightly itchy throat. I was sick actually a week ago. I won't go into the details. I'm absolutely fine now, but at the same time, it's so hot and it's so energy sapping. I mean, it saps the energy out of you, this hot weather. The conditions are pretty extreme actually. Extreme conditions. The conditions are fairly extreme with this hot weather. And I've got to look after myself. I've got a busy time coming up with a lot of different types of different commitments that I've got to deal with and other things, both family stuff and work related stuff, podcast stuff, my job stuff, family stuff, podcast stuff, work stuff, lots of stuff. What I'm trying to say is that I think it would be wise actually to stop right now, even though I haven't even done the idioms and expressions that are in the title of the episode. I think that I'm not going to put idioms and expressions with hot in the title of the episode. I think I'm going to come up with something else. But the idioms and expressions are going to have to stop. I can't go through them all. I don't want to ruin my voice. I've done that in the past. It sounds strange sometimes when it's really, really hot and I have to teach a lot. I lose my voice. I'm prone to having throat problems in hot conditions. If you heard my sick in Japan story, what happened there, it was incredibly hot. Japanese summer. I didn't know how to deal with it. I got really, really tired, but I was teaching intensely every day using my voice in air-conditioned rooms, I might add. Not that I'm in air-conditioned conditions here. But I developed... I got sick in a variety... I got Anyway, and I've had it before as well, lots of times. Summer, heat wave, teaching, tired, exhausted, lose my voice. There was a Lepster meetup in London some time ago, once upon a time. Were you there? If you were there, leave a comment in the comments section. And it was in the summertime and I had lost my voice. It was a pub in Fitzrovia in London, one of my favourite parts of the city. And a bunch of Lepsters were there. Zdenek from Zdenek's English podcast was there helping me to organise it. A bunch of people were there in the pub and I turned up. And a lot of those people didn't know what I looked like. I think it was before I was doing so much video, and most of the people there were audio listeners. So they were very familiar with my voice, but not so familiar with my face. And I turned up and I was kind of speaking like this. Hi everyone, great to have you here. And they all looked at me and they were like, who's this? They were like, who's this guy? And Zdenek was like, that's Luke. Hi, yeah, it's me, hi. So, how is everyone? What's your name? And they're like, no. I know Luke. I know Luke's voice. That's not Luke's voice. Who is this strange person who's London's got a lot of weirdos. Are you just one of those? No, it's me. And also I've recorded podcasts in the past where I've had a dodgy voice. You get the idea. Basically what I'm saying is I think I should stop. And I'm going to stop now because I can feel I've got a little tickle in, a little itchy throat, and I should rest my voice now. Everyone, you understand? Of course you understand. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, that's very nice. You don't mind? Of course. Yeah, it's been over an hour and a half. Yeah, that's fine, isn't it? No, I think you're right. Yeah, okay then. Yeah. Sure. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, maybe I can do that. So listen, guys, you know what I'm doing here? I'm imagining that I'm having a conversation with you, but you're only hearing half of the conversation. Did you get the idea? And you could just use your imagination to fill in the blanks. Let's carry on with that. I quite like doing that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's like a telephone conversation, isn't it? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, okay, maybe I can do that. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe next week. Maybe it could be a premium episode. That could be good. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I don't normally do that. I don't normally like split free episodes and complete free episodes as premium episodes. It seems a bit exclusionary, you know? Yeah, I'm probably overthinking it. I'm overthinking it, aren't I? Okay, well, thanks for the suggestion. I will do that. I think it's a really good idea. Thanks for that. Everyone, say thanks to... What's your name again? Hiroshi. Okay, thanks, Hiroshi. Everyone's like, good idea, Hiroshi. Okay, so Hiroshi's a doctor. Dr. Hiroshi. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura. Who is Hiroshi Nakamura? Is that a famous person? No, it's not Nakamura. Negishi. Dr. Hiroshi Negishi. Dr. Hiroshi Negishi has given his professional opinion. He's a friend of mine. He's a doctor. He thinks I should probably stop, and I think he's right. Okay, good. I'm glad everyone agrees. All right, then. Well, look. It seemed to end suddenly on a bit of a cliffhanger. I wanted to go through the rest of the idioms and expressions. What you can do, though, is you can check the episode PDF because they are listed. And there is a detailed vocabulary list which outlines all of those little expressions with definitions, examples, and other comments. For example, a hotspot, a place where a lot of activity, interest, or excitement is concentrated. For example, Berlin has become a hotspot for tech startups. Barcelona is a major tourist hotspot, and the locals aren't happy. I need to find a Wi-Fi hotspot. Very, very common. Okay, I think that's probably enough, but you'll find loads more. It's not 30. I actually narrowed it down to less than that. But you know what? I really enjoyed doing this episode. It's been fun. But check the PDF to see all the idioms and expressions because there are some nice phrases there. Let me know in the comments section what's going on with you. Is it really hot? Is it really cold? Is it just in the middle? Is it just lukewarm? That is a word. That is one word. Lukewarm. Lukewarm. It's my least favourite word because it has my name in it. Lukewarm just means turgid, sort of somewhere...
Wait, not turgid, I meant tepid. Lukewarm is a synonym for tepid. That's what I meant to say. So if I say turgid again, just replace it in your brain with tepid. Or I'll replace it myself and you'll just hear me say tepid with a slightly different microphone. So anyway, lukewarm, my least favourite word because it's got my name in it and it's got a sort of generally negative meaning as I'm about to continue explaining here. And then I'm going to stop. By the way, my voice is fine.
Not very specific. Is it warm? Is it cold? It's just sort of in the middle. Lukewarm water. Ugh, this tea is lukewarm. That's not my tea. It's been sitting here for half an hour. Lukewarm is normally negative. Lukewarm. I got it. We did a show, and it got a bit of a lukewarm response from the audience. Yeah. Got a lukewarm response. Lukewarm, my least favourite word in the English language because it's a negative word that means rather non-specific and unsatisfying and it's got my name in it. I mean, how would you feel if your name was in a word that meant something negative? It's like, how was the presentation? Oh, it got what's your name? Let's say your name is Joaquin, right? Let's say your name is Joaquin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. How was the presentation? Well, it got a bit of a Joaquin response. Oh, really? Oh, dear. You wouldn't like that either, would you? I don't think you would. You understand. Lukewarm. How did I end up talking about lukewarm? I don't know, but it's time to stop. Yes, anyway, how are you? Hot, boiling hot? Cold, freezing cold, fine. Let us know in the comments section, and also let us know basically the conditions that you're in at the moment. I'd like to know, and also how have you enjoyed this episode, and what have you enjoyed about it, if indeed you have enjoyed it. Maybe you've just been listening like, oh God, please finish so we can just do something else. You know, you can stop anytime you want. You know that, don't you? Okay. Dr. Hiroshi Negishi has recommended that I rest my voice now. And as my personal physician, he does have... He does actually control everything I do. So I better do what he says. Because I'm owned by the Toyota Corporation. Did you know that? It's not true, but yeah, I'm owned by the Toyota Corporation now. It's Panasonic. Sorry. Whoops. Panasonic. There was a big deal behind the scenes, and Panasonic own everything. They own me. They own my voice. And Dr. Toyota Negishi was the doctor that they sent to work directly with me. He gives me injections. He carefully monitors my diet. It's a bit annoying, really. I'm like, can I? No, you can't. Oh, really? Look, Luke, you seem a bit tired. Quick, I'll just inject you with this. What is it? It's just vitamins. Okay. But Dr. Hiroshi Negishi is suggesting that I need to stop, so I better stop, because if I don't, then they can take me to court and they can sue me for, what does it say in the contract? In excess of €1 million. So I better stop then. Yeah, that was a joke, by the way. That's not true. Okay, so don't write in. But anyway, thanks so much for listening. If you're boiling hot, I hope that you manage to stay cool, calm and collected. Put your feet in a bowl of cool water, lukewarm water. Yeah, that'll help. But for now, from me to you, it is just time for me to say, as I just think, is there something important I need to add? No, I can't add anything now at the end of the episode. So I'll just end the episode properly by wishing you a lovely morning, afternoon, evening or night. And I hope that you manage to get some good sleep tonight. Let's just hope there's a lovely thunderstorm and a mad hailstorm, and then things cool down a bit and go normal again. Okay, take care. Lovely to talk to you. Speak to you next time. But for now, goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.